You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
I tell you what we've missed for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Not only have I missed it, but all the listeners, the thousands and thousands of listeners we have missed the great Ben Fordham. And he joins us from Sydney, Australia, having just spoken to Tucker Carlson, almost my hero. I listened to your whole program today, Doc, from up here in Airlie Beach, so welcome again.
Oh, mate, thank you very much. How's the skipper going?
The skipper's going well. I'm sort of the skipper. Sue's here as well. If you if she wants to join in any of this.
Oh, mate, g'day to Sue. I've been following your adventure on YouTube. So where are you at the moment?
We're at the Coral Sea Marina up at Airlie Beach. We domiciled here for as long as we wish. We think a couple of months. Pointless bringing the boat up for 3 weeks and going through what we went through if we're going to just take it home within a week or so. So we're not going to do that.
I'm now wondering whether you're ever going to return to Victoria.
Well, I tell you what, Doc, it is shocking down there at the minute, politically, weather-wise, everything going on down there, although the state of origin's coming down there again next week, isn't it, I think?
Yep.
So don't worry about us, Doc. I was fascinated to listen to you speak to, well, you went from Tasmanian tigers to political tigers. You spoke to some bozo who reckons there's Tasmanian tigers still going around, and then you got on to the main man, Tucker Carlson, Fox News in America, never been the same since he left.
No, Tucker's just touched down in Australia. He's arrived in Brisbane and he's here for 2.5 weeks. It was Clive Palmer, the businessman and former politician who brought Tucker out here, and he's basically going around the country and doing live shows and speaking to a whole range of Aussies about, the US presidential race and whatever else is going on in the world with COVID and vaccines and all the other things that people are interested in. So, look, he's a really fascinating bloke, and it was hard to know kind of where to go with him. And I in the interview that I did with him today, because, there are so many things that he's equipped to talk about. But I think the main game at the moment has got to be the US election. It's 139 days away. And I started off the interview by saying to him, who's going to win? And he said, at this point, you'd have to say it's going to be Trump. And having watched a little piece on CNN that someone just sent me, usually on CNN, as you know, they're not going to go trumpeting what Trump thinks or what Trump wants, but there was an election analyst on there who was studying the way that black voters are responding at the moment when they're asked about Trump or Biden. And what's really interesting is that the black voters are moving away from Biden and towards Trump. And if you have a look at the over 50s, there's a bit of a move away from Biden towards Trump in the over 50s African Americans. But where the real game is the under 50s. Those who are black and under 50 have shifted from Biden to Trump in a major way. Now, that's almost lights out for Joe Biden.
Well, I watch it all, as you probably would have gathered. I watch it all every day from America, more than I watch our politics, which I'm not sure is a good, healthy thing to do. But the thing that has ticked Americans off is the fact that there's, from any count, between 5 to 15 million people come across that border under Biden's watch, and they are taking all the jobs, the low-paid jobs. They're making a mockery of the American workforce, and I think that has ticked off more people, more blacks and more Hispanics and more people who went over to America for the legal way and now having their wages usurped by just a flood of immigrants.
You just have a look at what's interesting is that we're told here in Australia that younger voters are traditionally going to steer clear of conservative politicians, right? They're going to be giving their vote to a left-leaning politician as opposed to a conservative one. But what's interesting in America is if you have a look at, for example, UFC, you have a look at UFC where they have those big fights and, traditionally a male, younger demographic that's going along. They're all Trump people. They're all Trump people. None of them are saying, I'm going to go and vote for Joe Biden. When you see people putting their hand up and saying, I'm with Biden, for example, in the last 48 hours or so, we've seen Barbara Streisand come out and say it. George Clooney. These are older white celebrities, right? So there are a hell of a lot of African Americans out there who are looking for their cues, and they look at some of these younger celebrities who are, whether they're MMA fighters or Joe Rogan or rappers or whatever, and they look at these people who seem to be fascinated with Trump and no way in the world voting for Joe Biden. And
Now,
look,
Doc,
Biden does himself in every day, every time he turns up and he gets lost. And I've got some sympathy for him as a human being to be in that predicament because, mate, it must be terrible when, you know, you're at a stage of your life when you just want to go on a yacht somewhere and go and cruise around and enjoy the love of your life and some sunshine. And instead you're being propped up every day to go and be the US president. And look, behind the scenes, he's probably okay when he's got to make a decision because you've got advisors who will come in and essentially tell you what to do and what to think. But I'll tell you what, when he's out there on a stage and he's staring blankly into the audience and you've got to have someone else grab him by the elbow and tell him where to go and what to do, I find it really, really uncomfortable, and I feel sorry for him that he's in that situation.
well, you have sorry for him. He's the most dishonest, immoral, unworthy president ever. He is a crook, and he knows he's a crook. The media know he's a crook. He's enriched himself on the ill-gotten gains of foreign countries through his son Hunter Biden. And you it was a very good interview because you didn't have a long time to do it, but you said he believes that the election was rigged. I was fascinated he didn't say because they wouldn't allow the disinformation they thought was on the Hunter Biden laptop. That was that wasn't allowed to be published in case it swayed the electorate, which it did. They said had that information on the Hunter Biden laptop come out before the election, it would have swayed 16% of the vote.
Yeah, I think, Sam, when you have a look at what's happened with the hush money trial and Stormy Daniels, there's no doubt the Trump side as well didn't want certain stories to get out there, but you know, some of these aren't going to have as bigger impact as the Hunter Biden stories. I mean, all politicians try and hide the bad news and promote the good news. That's just typical. But I think the biggest concern for Joe Biden, because the average punter thinks that they're all corrupt, they're all in on a rort, they're all looking after themselves, and they'll all say anything to get elected. But the biggest issue for Biden is his health, because in America, more so than any other country, they put a premium, they put a focus on the health of the president. They've always done it. And if there's any concerns over the health of the president, it's a big deal at election time. And that history is going to bite him on the backside, because as the leader of the free world, we kind of think, all right, we've got to make sure that they've got all their faculties, that they're healthy, that they're strong, they can make decisions at a moment's notice. And he just doesn't look like he's in that way at the moment. And look, Trump's not a young guy, but he looks like he's a 45-year-old when he stands alongside the other bloke.
He's brilliant, Doc. He's brilliant. Now you also asked him, unbelievably, with that Stormy Daniels affair and the hush money and all that, he is sentenced 5 days before the convention, and the very probable, not likelihood, if they put him in jail for a period of time, 30 days, or just to show that they can do that, that would almost guarantee him the presidency, I reckon.
Well, I think he's got it already, Sam. I think when you have a look at the voting trends at the moment, and as I said, when I saw a CNN election analyst talking about under 50s African Americans, and I've looked at that and gone, it's over. It's over for Biden. The only hope for the Democrats is that something happens, there's some dramatic shift that goes on, and for some reason Biden can be beaten. We know that he can be beaten, but at the moment he's facing no contest.
And not by that stupid woman he can't be, and not by that man who is a cadaver. That's Joe. Now, Doc. I've said, we said this, no iron team. We said this 18 months ago, or even a year ago. They won't let him, they'll kill him. They will assassinate him. I tell you, there'll be some kook come out of the woodwork on behalf of someone, and they won't let him be the president.
Well, who? Trump?
Yes.
No, well, Trump will be there on election day and Biden will be there on election day. They'll both be alive, and Trump will win. You know, that's my take. I mean, look, in America, there's so many bloody guns, mate, that it's hard to stop people from doing awful things. But when you're the president, or when you're in that kind of position, I mean, the security's so tight. No one with a gun is going to get anywhere near either of them, and I think they'll both see their way to election day.
They might blow his car up. They'll do
But also,
something.
Tucker Carlson mentioned that he'd love to go for a bit of a sail somewhere around the beautiful scenery of Australia. Have you got a spot on the boat there?
My word, I told you I bought a Tucker Carlson T-shirt with his face on it, which I've worn a cup.
If Tucker was going to come on board, would you nudge Sue out of the main cabin?
My wordy. I would pretend I'm anything I like. I love that man. He was fantastic. Sue is. I don't have to nudge her out of the main cabin. She is in the main cabin. I'm down in the what's known as the cruise quarters. We haven't struck up an area of détente as such so far this trip, but I'm working on it, Doc. But I've lost. I'm not practiced at it anymore. I haven't had to do it for many years, so I'm not in good form at the minute, Doc.
Well, mate, I got to tell you, I'm very jealous when I've had a look at 2 or 3 of the YouTube videos, and even though you've had a few challenges along the way, I mean, that's what you're supposed to have when you're on the water and on a boat, but it just looks beautiful, mate. And you look like a different human being. You look like someone. I think you've been in your comfort zone for a long time, and I think you are officially out of your comfort zone at the moment, and I think it does you a wonder.
Oh, well, now look, Sue's listening to this. Go and speak to the doctor, Sue.
What do you reckon, Sue? Am I right or am I wrong?
No,
I reckon you're right, but he actually is at ease on the sea, I reckon. He's a different person. I think he was a bit of a grumpy old man when we were back in Melbourne.
Thank you, Sue.
He just got caught up in the things. But he's having a good time and he's learning new skills. And
it's good.
It's fantastic, Doc.
I've been very happy watching it all unfold. Yes.
Now, we listened. I heard you speaking about the Tasmanian tiger, and you spoke about the nuclear regime gathering pace over there, and might continue. Worked out. Well, Sue has worked out how to get 2GB. That's your station, isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah, 2GB, and so we might just listen to you every morning up here on the.
Oh, there you go.
I've just worked out how to do it.
Well, I thought today was a pretty ordinary show from my own point of view. I wasn't feeling 100%, but Tucker was good. But I'll now know that I'll give an extra 20% knowing that you are a good chance of listening in.
Well, just finally, so he's out here, Tucker, for the Australian Freedom Movement Conference or whatever. What is that? So this is free speech. So what's Clive Palmer got to do with that?
That's what it's all about. Well, I think Clive just saw him and thought, well, we could do with a bit of that straight talk in Australia. And, there are too many people trying to silence people who want to express a view. And obviously Tucker's controversial, right? When you think that you know what he's going to say, he keeps everyone guessing. And, it was funny. While I was talking to him this morning, I had text messages coming through saying, we love Tucker. And then the next one was, Tucker's a lunatic. You know what I mean? So
Tucker's fantastic.
He's one of those guys who gets you thinking and obviously starts conversations. And so Clive's invited him out here. And if you want to go along and see him, you could just search Australian Freedom Conference, and it's tickets through Ticketek. And obviously it'll be a bit of a money spinner for Clive and a little bit for Tucker as well. But the moment when he was fired from Fox News, that was a damaging day for Fox News. Obviously, a difficult decision for them because he was their number one guy. And then Elon Musk offers him a job. He sat across from Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin and everyone else. So, very fascinating bloke. And if you get the chance to see him, happy days. If not, go to 2gb.com and have a listen back to the interview that we did this morning.
Well, good on you, Doc. I mean, we're nothing without you coming on every couple of weeks, so we really appreciate it, Doc, and all the best to you.
And love to Sue. I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Good on you, mate. Thank you. All the best.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Yeah, good. Ship ahoy. Well, now... Suzanne, that was so we listened to Tucker. We listened to the Doc today, and he was good. He's a very good operator, the Doc.
He'd be pretty happy with himself, because that's a big coup, isn't it, to get Tucker Carlson?
Well, I'm not sure. There'd only be a handful of news radio stations around, really, that delve into politics and chat, like Neil Mitchell was the main man in Melbourne, and now it's Tom Elliott, and he is the main man in Sydney after John Laws and Alan Jones departed, but he was up there anyhow. They'd be promoting, Tucker would be promoting the fact, and so would Clive making him available to promote the shows that he's on.
Dougie's a good friend of Clive Palmer's, isn't he?
Doug Hawkins was asked by Clive Palmer to stand for the last election, or the election before last, and I'm not speaking and not disparaging Doug at all, because not many people can step up and speak about politics, but I think he was just a fraction out of his depth, a fraction over his head when he was asked about the fiscal possibilities of the trade-weighted index being balanced and floated overseas. What did he think of that? And he said, could you repeat that? And he said, just give me a minute, I'll ask someone what that means. I think that was about the end of Doug's political career, but it was a good journey while it lasted. It lasted for about a minute and a half. Now just finally, Michael Christian, menswear.com. Did I tell you they can't keep up with the sale of the hats?
Well, do you know we were down Early Beach, this strip down there, and we saw someone walk past with one of those caps on.
We did. They're universal, and they've been
they're everywhere.
Yeah, Mick is happy to keep up with the demand. He's had to put a couple of boys on, or people on, people on. He's had to put a couple of people on, all over age, so they're not no underage child labour being used to package up the hats and set them out. Not like how they're made, but there was we had to give a shout out. He wanted specifically to a bloke called Matthew Poppins. Wouldn't it be great if his wife's name was Mary? So Matthew and Mary Poppins are there from, I know I've never heard of this town. He says it's near Wodonga. Have you ever heard of Leneva?
No.
Leneva, Leneva, Leneva.
Is it on the New South Wales side or the Victorian side?
Well, seeing as I've never heard of it, Sue, how the hell would I know?
Well, Wodonga's on the Victorian side, isn't it?
Well, all depends what traffic lights you go through on the way to the local supermarket. If you go across the road, you're in New South Wales, and if you stay on this side to go to the other supermarket, you're in Victoria. So, anyhow, he is from Mr. and Mrs. Poppins. They're from, where did I say they're from?
Lee something.
Yeah, Leneva. Is that what I've written down there?
Can't even read your own
writing.
No,
well, I can because I wrote it
scribble on that.
I wrote it quickly down because I wrote some notes about the doc because I listened to his program. No, he's very good. He had a bloke on about the Tasmanian tiger. There's people who invested their life savings in trying to find the Tasmanian tiger. Wouldn't you reckon after, I think it disappeared in 1936, wouldn't you reckon after 70 years there's probably no tiger left, but there's people still looking for it. They say they've seen it. Well, how sneaky would the tiger be not to come out after 80 years, only to come out when there was no one looking at it or when they were tracing it? And they've got motion-studied cameras set up in the jungles and the forests and the hills in Tassie, and hoping that it will trigger a motion-detected camera. 80 years they've been trying to catch it.
Have they got any DNA on them?
Of course they haven't.
Why?
Yes, that's right. They're all stuffed. No, they would have DNA in it. They might genetically modify one or make one.
Like that.
And they
like that sheep. Was it Dolly?
Yeah, Dolly it was, and they might make a Tasmanian tiger. They could get its DNA and genetically form one. That could be the man on the phone. So they might genetically form one, and then they'll use AI to give it a growl. It might even speak and say, "Hello, I'm a Tasmanian tiger. I've been out of business for 80 years, but I'm back." All that shit.
Whose voice would they use for the AI?
Oh, they'd use Mel Blanc, the late Mel Blanc, who did Daffy Duck, Goofy, Bugs Bunny, Foghorn Leghorn. I say, remember the big chook, big rooster? He say, I say, that's my boy. That's what he used to say.
You sounded like John Michael Housen before when you were saying it.
Oh, if you wouldn't mind. Oh, it's John Michael Housen. He was very popular, John Michael Housen, when we interviewed him. Anyhow, so that was the doc. We mentioned Houdini, didn't we? Because we always like to mention them.
We did.
What do they do?
Because we saw them down the street.
I reckon I saw that. Can't mention the principal's name because he's a bit shy, Ahmed. I can't mention his name, but I reckon I saw him up here. Maybe he's selling the hot water exchange systems or whatever they're called, the heaters. Maybe he's. It's a bit like selling, ice at the Antarctic, selling hot water heaters up here. But everyone
maybe
needs
he's
hot
up
water.
here with Dwayne buying some property.
Oh, don't! If that Dwayne, I hope Dwayne. Dwayne has terrorised us. Dwayne, he was the man we did on our
YouTube,
Smart as Sam YouTube. Dwayne accosted us, really, in a hotel, and he had an Essendon motif on his jumper. Well, everywhere we go, Dwayne. I went to the segment. There was Dwayne in the next aisle. Where did we go the other day?
Italian restaurant next door or something.
Yep. And I said, he said, "What are you eating?" I looked over and there. I said, "Dwayne, how are you?" So, so he's there. I got a cab. I'm getting a cab into. I got to go in. It doesn't matter where I got. I got to go into the Proserpine Hospital today just to check my infected leg. And I was standing standing down by the taxi rank, and cab pulled up, and have a guess who was driving it? Dwayne. He'd asked the bloke. He gave the bloke $100. He said, "Can I borrow your cab for 5 minutes? I want to pretend I'm picking this bloke up." And I opened the door, and he said, "G'day, Sam." I said, "Dwayne, for God's sake, man." No, he's a good boy. If I see him again, all right. Well, that's it. So the doc, what a welcome return the doc made, and he's a star, and we appreciate. Anything else you want to say, Sue? We're going out. We're going out to the. People be pissed off with all this talk. They say, "Oh, listen to you two." We're going out to the reef tomorrow.
Oh, that's going to be exciting.
And we've got
hopefully catch some fish.
Well, when you say hopefully, we've cheated a little. We've enlisted. We haven't had to pay for him yet, but we've enlisted the services of a man called Sheehan, and he's coming out, and he is renowned to be the best fisherman in Airlie Beach region. So he said there's this fish as big as your car out there. I said, really? I said, with the Rex Hunt signature fishing rods, he said they will break, they will snap, because they're not for that type of fish. They're for little trawling fish behind your boat, which meant nothing to me. Don't even know what that means. So
I reckon we should get Rex Hunt on FaceTime while we're doing it, so see how he's doing and rate him. Get Rex to rate Shane.
It's a very good point, Sue. Because anyhow, there we are. So that's it for You Cannot Be Serious.
You've got to go to the hospital.
I have. Now have a look. What's the worst news you could get? I don't want to say I'm not feeling sorry for myself, and I don't want people say, "Oh, well, who gives a stuff?" What would be the worst news you'd reckon if you'd come on a boat up to go snorkelling up around the Barrier Reef, and you had an infected leg and you went and got it checked? What do you think the worst news you could get is from the doctor?
Go start drinking.
What?
Because you don't drink, go start drinking.
No, this is a doctor. Worst? The doctor's not going to give...
You tell me what the doctor said.
Don't go in the water.
Serious?
I've come all the way up from Melbourne, Australia, to go snorkelling, and he said, "Don't go in the water." I said, "You're not serious. You cannot be serious." He said, "There are more allergies, bugs, contaminants, Bacteria is the word I was after, in the water. You know, people think, oh, you should dip yourself in the seawater, or if you've got any injuries, because salt water's good for it." He said, "Worst thing you can do." I said, "Can I have a shower?" He said, "No." I said, "I can't even have a shower." He said, "Well, you've got to put a bag over it." So that's how the trips... Yeah, that's right. So I'll probably be putting a bag over your head shortly. That's right, so you don't scare the fish. All right, well, that's it. So thank you very much to the doctor, and all the best to him and his family. We didn't mention JD and the Nippers, but I wonder if he's going along to see Tucker Carlson.
Oh, yes.
I love Tucker. My son, Jordan, he bought me a Tucker Carlson T-shirt, which he got sent over from the States. You can buy them online. And it had Tucker Carlson's face on it. He was the face of Fox.
Maybe he'll do an interview with you.
Maybe, yeah.
Get onto that, will you?
Yeah. Will you get onto it? You know how to do it. All right, well, that's it. So that's it, and we're off.